Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to a special edition of Conversation with Rickford, Refuting Jagdeo on the PP's lies and racism. So Jagdeo was about to hold a press conference, and we know that he's been spewing a bunch of lies and racist um, chatter, diatribe. And so we decided to do this program. It's a special launch. We are starting this program. We do it every Thursday. And so we're waiting for him to start, but keep sharing the link, everybody. Take a while, share the link. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube page, take some time to subscribe. If you're watching from Facebook, like and follow me on Facebook. I have a bit of allergies bothering me today, but we're going to do this live. We have a number of members of parliament standing by to speak with us. The first one will be David Patterson, but share the link and I'll be right back. And when I come back, we'll talk to David Patterson. All right, so welcome back to Conversation with Rickford Burke. Joining me right now is Member of Parliament David Patterson.
Hi, Rickford. Good afternoon to you and your listeners.
Good
How are
afternoon to you.
things?
Good afternoon. I know you have Parliament live going on right now. Thanks for taking some time off to talk to us. I know what will come up here in this press conference with Bar Jagdeo is the controversy at Peters Hall, where the government of Guyana is forcing people from their homes without giving them adequate market compensation the true value of their property. And one angel yesterday was caught on video trying to bully these people, um, and as a matter of fact, serving them with eviction notices. What do you think should be happening here?
Well, thank you. Right for just for the a disclaimer for all your viewers, I am the I've represented several of the persons there. I think of the 15, I think 10 of them came to my firm for assessments of their properties. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here is what is really happening. Is that, I mean, when people came back in power, when they were installed in power, they are out of the blue with no consultation, no studies, no anything like that. They decided that they're going to put a bridge at Peters Hall, and that meant they had to move 48. Not only over in Peters Hall, there's 15 over in Demerara Estate, there's another 15, and then in Bagotstone, I think there are another 18. There are 48 persons that have to be moved. And what they're offering the persons there that been living there, that like that lady there, two pence. You know what I mean? They're trying to bully them to move them off their place to so place that they've been there for 60, 70 years and pay them. That poor lady there, I think they offered her about $15 million for a double lot with her house. You can't buy a house. And when they say Peters Hall, they've been saying Peters Hall to diminish it. Your viewers want to know this is Republic Park. It's Republic
Oh,
Park, right? So therefore, you can imagine no one can buy a house lot in Republic Park for $50 million. You know what I mean? That is the real genesis. I mean, a house lot over there now at $50 million and above. So they're trying to force the persons out. As the ladies, as they said, they had very little consultation. But on top of that, and then they've offered them very little. So they took a lawyer, the lawyer referred them to my firm, and we paid them. But the sad thing or the strange thing is, Rickford, they paid half, not even half, they paid one person who I did the valuation for, and I was just about to share it with Cheryl the other day. And they paid him exactly the same amount of money, I think even some more money than the value that was given. Yet the lady right over the road, the lady saw the thing, they're paying her a quarter of the money. Purely vindictive and they're not consistent. And as she said, and is true, the neighbor over the road is of Indian descent, right? And for to his credit, he did reveal. They told him not to say anything, how much money he's getting, and those things like that. To his credit, he did say to the residents, because it's a very close knit community, how much he was offered. So you have one over the road, less than 20 feet, you're getting 57 million, and they're offering this lady, I think 17. They've raised it to about $20 million. And she's absolutely right by saying it's not adequate. So the next stage is what's gonna happen is they will try to forcefully evict her. Because that's the type of person they try to forcefully evict her, but she's a strong I mean, there are 15 persons there that has to move. 10 of them have refused to move because the compensation and where they're putting them is not adequate. I've been saying to them and I've been saying to the government, you have to put somebody back in the exact same position that they left in. And I'm in saying that because they started telling your lady that her house was old, but she has a 4-bedroom house.
right. But it's older than
So
you. Right.
yeah, all are new. So you have to give her a 4-bedroom house with the same size match bedroom. If and you can't find old wood to build no 4-bedroom house. You have to build it, and then so you have to give her put her back in the exact same position she is. It doesn't matter. It's not her fault that you want her land.
Right.
So you can't say to her that your house being built 10 years, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and are you going to buy it? You have to put her back in a 4-bedroom house, put back in her fruit trees. You know what I mean? She was quite right. I mean, you spend a lot of time developing your fruit trees, bearing fruit trees, and all of these things, time and effort, you have to repay them for. So, unfortunately, I don't know what's our next step because they have already gazetted the properties and compulsory acquired it.
Right.
So our next step may be to go to court. Obviously, I've already said I've already been given commitment to all the residents that through their lawyers, I will represent them. I formally represent them on the value part and in court.
Right. So what we have been advised here by United Nations officials is that the person should not move and let the government go ahead and bulldoze their homes, and they'll face international sanctions so long as representation is made by some organization to the United Nations. Um, uh, the president has been, sorry, Vice President, so-called Vice President Bar Jagdeo has been attacking you and call you a liar. He even did it up to last Thursday. You want to respond to him?
Well, look, listen to me. Barra Jag is a pathological liar, and that's what he does. And one of the disappointing things I have about I do feel about our local media is that they know what he's saying is a lie, but they don't question him because he maybe intimidates them or
They're
maybe
scared he's
what
going to attack them,
they're
right?
scared to. You know what I mean? Let's talk about GPL. We been in Rickford, and I've been on programs here and long before this blockout, saying this would happen, saying that how they're neglecting to do the maintenance, they're neglecting to do anything. They're not buying any equipment, they're not maintaining transmission. We told them, we predicted it over 18 months ago. You will have blackouts. First, Barajagio and five of his ministers came out to attacking me, and all five of them, all six of them have a different a different response. First, Irfan got up and said, "Oh, nothing ever was done." Then Jagdeo got up and said, "Oh well, that the sets that we bought the sets. If the APNU, if we didn't buy these sets, we would have been in a worse position with these incompetent idiots." He got up and said, "Oh, that we didn't pay for the sets." When we refuted that, then Mark Phillips got up and said, "Oh, all the great work that we would have done is because they thought of it first." Then Indar came to another thing. Then Ashley Singh came to another thing, and all six of them come up with a different story, try to hide their incompetence. And then, of course, they went and they bought some sets in Honduras, some third hand sets in Honduras, container sets, not working. They're now going to bring a power
Ship.
ship from Cuba via Kuwait,
Turkey. Oh, square.
Turkey. Yeah, the contract was a creative form. The ship is Turkey, and it was last in Cuba. It's like a really international espionage going on here, and we know for sure that wouldn't help us, and it will cost the taxpayers $200 million just for this. And the ship is 22 years old, Rickford. 22
Now,
year old
how
barge.
sensible is that? Wouldn't it best be for the government to invest that $200 million in building up the electricity grid of Guyana? Because even
Here
when they spend that money, it goes back to the owners of the ship.
exactly. And here's a comparison that should be made. In 2020, in 2019, we bought 48 megawatts of brand new dual fuel and engines for $50 million, right? For $50 million, we bought and owned, and that's what's keeping this country, this grid alive. The coalition bought for $50 million installed in GPL in Garden of Eden. They're spending $200 million for 36 megawatts over a period of 2 years, $100 million a year. They could have gotten 200 megawatts with that same money that would be permanent in Guyana and working in Guyana. But that's what they do, Rickford. Here is what they do. They create an emergency. So the emergency they created is by letting the power system run down to catastrophic failure. And then they come up with a solution, which is for the friends, family, favorites, and thieves. And the country is so desperate for and so plagued for the blackouts. When they come with a solution, nobody wants to question because you want this blackout to end. That's how they make their money. And so they created this emergency, ran the system down, and then of course now go and find this power ship and spend exorbitant money. I'm sure that they're getting kickbacks along the line. Somebody getting kickbacks along the line. But It's a
Um,
trend and it's a pattern. In
um,
2020, in 2020, Rick, for just 1 minute, in
sure.
2020, a sheikh came from Kuwait or Middle East, and he came here and he visited this country for 3 days. When he left with a contract to supply Sputnik for $22 million. I hope you can remember that. And when
Yes.
we discovered we were paying double the price, and that's COVID vaccine, double the price anybody else in the world were paying for this good thing. But they said, oh, this is an emergency. That's how they take it. The year after, Rickford, they give $54 million to another company out to the Middle East to do this electronic ID cards. It's almost 2 years now. And we can't even see an electronic ID card. Last year, they give $34 million to another company from in the Middle East to do house plans, regular computerized housing applications. Then at the end of last year, they sold all the grungs on Carifesta Avenue to another company. Never these plans were never discussed before. Not in the manifesto, nothing at all.
Not
Just
played in
somebody come,
Parliament.
nothing in the parliament, nothing at all. They just come, they announce it. They sell it as though they will move the country forward. But it's all part of what they do to create these emergencies, create these things, give these guys contracts without any procurement
Do
or
you
any
believe
bidding.
that they're getting kickback? Well, you just said it, but
Of
let me ask
course.
you: do you believe that they're creating these expenses at exorbitant prices, sometimes double the real price, because somebody is getting a kickback from the government?
Look, that is so true. The Sue and the Sue type persons are not only Chinese, you know what I mean? Y'all don't put the Chinese business in all of them. The Sue type arrangements happens with all these contracts. So Sue was the only one that exposed because I mean Vice did a good thing. But all of these contracts, there's middlemen collecting kickbacks and passing it on to the boss. Right? And you know that the boss don't like the thing, he like his money in cash and those things that Sue said. I mean, so all of these here are ways for them to feather their nests.
I,
So yeah.
I know you have. Did Parliament start?
Yes, I have to. I just have about a minute more. I'm up. I'm
Okay,
up next and to speak.
to speak. Okay, so we allow you to go. You can come back when you finish speaking. You
I'll
can
come
send every
right
one of
back,
your
Rickford.
colleagues. Send one of your colleagues. In the meantime, we're going to listen to what our Jagdeo has to say, and we're going to refute him live.
Right, and if he mentions anything worthwhile refuting,
I'll
right,
let you know.
you let me know. Thank you.
Definitely.
God,
Thanks,
Rickford.
David. So there you go. That was former Minister of Public Infrastructure, David, in the APNU AFC government, David Patterson, discussing the ripoff that the PP government is engaged in with bringing that that ship from Turkey via Kuwait, via Cuba to Guyana. Government spending $200 million to generate 36 megawatts of electricity when they can invest that $200 million in buying generators that the country owns. At the end of the day, after 2 years, when the ship would go back to where it's from or be discarded, the owners of the ship will have $200 million in their pockets. And Guyana would have not invested that money in new electricity power generation. Does that make sense? In the meantime, we still have blackouts. So Bar Jagdeo is conducting his press conference. We intended this program to refute him live on air. So let's hear what he has to say. We're not going to carry everything. We'll go in and out. We'll dip in and out as fast as our MPs come back. We're going to switch to them and we'll respond and we'll proceed accordingly.
We'll see these trends flowing through our entire history, regardless of who is running the PPP government, starting from Chedi Jagan all the way to your finale. We've held a consistent line. Pro-working class party, and a party that at the same time has created conditions for private sector growth and wealth creation.
Created
Without
conditions for
these
their
objectives,
supporters to make money,
economic
you mean, Barrett?
development rate.
Created conditions for their supporters to make money. That we know. That we
I
know.
think those are the fighter jets. So, so that's clear. And I'm going to let you look at that yourself and make that judgment. Some people will never be able to make that judgment. It always be because they're jaundiced. And one thing that has happened, this Congress has done, apart from positioning the People's Progressive Party to win the next elections, re energizing its activists and supporters, getting out of them a commitment and a resoluteness to work harder on the ground to achieve the objectives of our party, bringing people together, progress on the ground. It has done another thing also. It has caused a major unhinging of the opposition. A, a kind of, I'm trying to be benign,
He's making
a
stuff up. Go ahead, Barry.
kind of restlessness, mental kind of unease. I'm choosing my words carefully, mental unease, and maybe delusion, basically, delusion, a great state of delusion. So let us take a view of how this has expressed itself. I'm going to go through several pieces. So, Gary Bess, a former head of our army and an executive member of the PNC, a major party in the coalition. So, this is an executive, sitting executive member of a political party. They wrote an opinion on the Mara waves. I think it's today or yesterday. The PNC's 28 years while in office are solid. Jagdeo needs to look elsewhere for fiction. Now, what this has done, it has unmasked Gary Best fake intellectualism. So let me go through a couple of things that he says here, just since today we are having fun. So he said that Jagdeo, that such an attack on the PNC will come from Jagdeo, the same PNC that birthed him into public service and politics, is beyond shameful. So this is Gary Best saying that I should be the last person to criticize the PNC because they birthed me in politics and in public service.
Where is
So
Gary Best? Somebody asked Gary
I
Best to come
got
on me. I'm
involved
texting him now.
in politics at the age of 13 when I joined the PYO. And what was the prevailing condition at that time? What were
Jagdeo
we
joined the
fighting
PLO,
against?
the
We were
PYO at 13.
fighting
That's a lie. Jagdeo, stop lying.
a dictatorship.
First time I heard Jagdeo ever saying that he
Rigged
joined the PYO.
elections to stay in power.
Jagdeo, stop lying.
I actually saw it
Jagdeo
happen.
joined the PYO
I
at
saw
13?
people in
Oh
my
my goodness.
village, the elections,
You all
when
listen to Bar
the
Jagdeo.
soldiers
It is
came
the
and took
People's
away
National
the
Congress
boxes.
government that sent Bar Jagdeo to
They
study in
were
Russia. He came back and he was
they were
working at the
crying
State
out of
Planning
despair
Secretariat, which is
because they couldn't do
the
anything.
Ministry of Planning
That
at
is
the
what
time.
we wanted to
And
change,
he worked
not to
there and he
be
used to leak all the
second-class
information to
citizens
Freedom House.
in this
Bar Jagdeo,
country
stop lying. The
and to
PNC
grow
sent
up
you
in
to
a
study.
condition
Let's
of
listen.
where our dreams couldn't be realized. People, tons of people from my generation probably were motivated by that. And so I saw how it happened. When the results came out, my village, the votes were changed. and my village voted 95% for APNU, for the PNC at that time. And so that is how we got involved. But at age 30, if anything, it was, yeah, he's right that the PNC birthed me into politics because I wanted to change what the PNC was practicing. And I think most people knew there wouldn't be a future for their country, for any of us, regardless of whether we are supporters of the PNC or not, had that situation persisted, if we didn't go back to a free, open society. So he wants me to be grateful for this. Public service, I came back to Ghana in 1990 from studies. I didn't go on a scholarship from the PNC abroad. I came back home when people were just fleeing the country. I came back, I passed through New York on the way back home. I passed through the US on the way back home. And people were saying to me, why are you going home? So I came home and I started working at state planning.
I just said it.
So that is how I
And
came home.
he didn't go to on a scholarship from the PNC. Member of Parliament Nima Flu Best is backstage. We're going to bring her in just now. But Bar Jagdeo did not go to a scholarship from the PNC, but he went on a scholarship from the PNC government.
Because the election should have been held in 1990.
All right, so while he's talking to Gary, let me bring in Member of Parliament Nima Flu Best.
So he...
Sister Nima,
hey,
your best friend Bart, you can call your name just now. Be listening good. But I'm not sure how much time you have. What is your comment on what we saw yesterday with Juan Edgil, the Minister of Public Works, attempting to bully those people out of their properties at Peters Hall / Republic Park, and then serving them with an eviction notice?
my thoughts on that is that I'm seeing a replay of what was done to the people at Caneview, Mocha, where you had ministers running in every minute and doing all of that. I believe Ezra felt he is the bigger bully, and he can take authority and get the people off of their transported land. I'm very upset at the fact that there are several senior citizens within this area where the homes have to be removed. And I can tell you from my engagement continuously with these families, it is not healthy for our seniors who are going through this. It is very difficult for them because they grew up there. That's their livelihood, that's their culture, that's what they're accustomed to. And then to see a government minister playing that he is the bully to serve the notice so that the people will remove is very sad. And I really hope that our people will rally together and stand against this foolishness. As the people have been saying, they need equity in whatever has to be done, and we have not seen that thus far.
Nima, David Patterson, your colleague, member AFC, APNU, member of Parliament, just confirmed that his firm did the valuation for several of those people in that area. And he confirmed that one of his clients confirmed that he was paid a large sum of money. He's East Indian, a large sum of money. It's rumored, not by David Patterson, but members of the community in Peters Hall, that he was paid $57 million for his property. And the black woman that owns the property right across the street, same size, same everything, they're offering them 15 million. And now after they were exposed yesterday, they upped it to 20 million, I understand.
Yes, that is what has been going on from since the time they started to engage the residents. They've ethnically divided this issue. The way they're dealing with the East Indian people is not the same way they're dealing with the Africans in the area. And so even the persons that received the large set of money, when we were there and engaged the group, myself and leader of the opposition, we took a team there and we engaged the group where we encouraged them to have their lawyers and all of that. I knew when David did the evaluation and stuff, all of that, I was right there following all that was happening. It was surprising to know that as a group we met both East Indian and Africans together, had a discussion and so forth, and then suddenly the East Indians were called aside and given an offer, but the Africans
Wow.
were not. And that
Hold on,
is
stay with
that
it.
is what is
Hold on, stay with
happening.
it. So you're saying to me that this government and the president where Orphan just came to Brooklyn and said that he's the president for everybody because there's one Guyana. You're telling me that at Peters Hall Republic Park, where the government wants to remove residents from their properties so that the
Yes.
bridge could go in that path, they call the East Indians separately, give them a large amount of money for their land, don't tell them how much money they got, and separated them from the black people, and now want to give the black residents a different sum of money. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. And the sad thing is, when you go and you check the property, I know when you do valuation, the location of the property, what you have around it, and all of that is a part of your evaluation. And it's strange that persons who live 2, 3 houses away from the East Bank Highway was given way less monies than the house that we see 57 million that is located 2 streets away from the East Bank Highway, and persons are not even occupying that residency. Grass is actually growing on the building. I mean, when you see things like that, what are you saying to the people? What are you saying to the people? The people in Petersall, they live very good. They have a good relationship, both races, ethnic group. They talk, they communicate with each other. And it is very sad, it's very hard to see that you treat one set a particular way and the other set is being treated with disdain and all of that. It's the same divide mechanism they've used in Caneview, and it is the same thing, Rickford, that is happening at Hillfoot. They are dealing with one set of people quietly, helping them to get themselves together. But the Africans that are involved, and they're finding it to be very difficult to have anything being done for them. It is a practice of the government.
Wow. It is shocking. I hope that what are the plans? You remember Parliament that represent that area, so these are your constituents. What are the plans going forward for those people, and what is being done as a community to safeguard them? Excuse me, from being their homes being bulldozed like they did at Caveview.
Currently, we are dealing with the legal side. Their lawyers, they're engaging their lawyers. They will deal with that from the legal position. They will deal with that. But like I said to the people yesterday, it is about us uniting. So if somebody move in with bulldozer, police, and all of that to start demolishing people's home, they have a responsibility to raise the alarm. And wherever we are, we have to converge there to protect the people. I am very concerned. I want people to understand, Rickford. I am so worried for those seniors who were part of this. They got this guy, Mr. Class, that is in his 70s, going to his 80s. When I spoke to that man yesterday, he's not the same person that I spoke to a year ago when all of this started. He's not the same person. He has become a weak because he's standing and he's saying he don't know what will happen because where he is, he plants his food, he feeds himself. And now you're taking that away, and the valuation he got for his property is just about 21 million. And he's living just about 4 or 5 houses in the street from the East Bank Highway. So you could imagine
You
the
mean the
stress.
government is offering him $21 million, or that's the value he got from the firm?
That's what he got from the government evaluation. They're not using what was given privately from David Forum for them. That's the thing, you know. They're using Mr. Patterson evaluation to deal with the East
East
Indians,
Indians, right?
and the government evaluation is what they want to use for the Africans. And that is
Okay.
not right. That is
Well,
not
we
right.
gotta create hell here, because that's racism, and
Yes,
that's
it
proof
is.
of racism. And we're gonna raise it with our elected officials here and the State Department. And I hope the U.S. Embassy officials are watching. I know they monitor these political programs, because they're saying there's no discrimination. Um,
Yes, blatant.
what do you make of the latest human rights report that said there was no State Department human rights report that say that said that there was no discrimination except by the police? Do you think that the U.S. Embassy is doing enough work on the ground, or are they being deceptive?
I wouldn't know in terms of how much work they actually do, but I would like to, I personally would like to challenge these organizations, human rights organizations, if it's the U.S. Embassy, whoever they are, to come on the ground. You have to call me. Let me take you in my constituency and give you a walkthrough, a tour, a first-hand experience of what is happening to people on the ground. I am willing to do that. I think if they get a first-hand feel, a walkthrough of what is happening, it might result in a different thing. Before I come off the show, let me let you know, Rickford. You see the KNView issue? A number of officials came to Moko to see exactly where KNView was located in comparison to the four-lane highway. I don't know who was the, I can't remember the name of the guy that was there in this vehicle. But I remember when the guys came out of that vehicle and said, my God, you mean to tell me that these people is nowhere in the path of the road and this is what was done to them? Right? And a lot of persons would have traversed just to come and see where KNV is located in comparison to the highway. The same thing, people can go to Peters Hall and check. Every land space, every home that has to be removed, the ones where the seniors are living, those lands are well planted with every little thing you could think of, fruit trees, the vegetables, everything they have there. How can you compensate them for that? You have to take all of that into consideration. And one of the things that trouble me is that the government seems not to recognize that moving people means you're disturbing a person's way of life, their
Yep.
culture, what they're accustomed to.
And you
So
also have to compensate them for that, not
all of
only their
that.
property.
It's not just property. It's not just the property. Mr. Claus don't have to walk nowhere to go far to catch a bus, but where they want to put him or intends to put him, because they call about 3 different locations, he will have to walk out several streets to get to the road to get the transportation. Now, these are things they must consider. We're dealing with senior citizens. Last night, I hardly slept thinking about the challenges these seniors have to go through after living all their lives, because they grew up in the area comfortably, and now you want to build a bridge. You're not stopping you. You know, you recognize these people. It's not against development. All the people asking for is fair and equitable treatment, and I'm calling on the government to do that today.
I know you have to go back to Parliament, and you can send any one of your colleagues to continue commenting. Um, at this point in time, we know that the government doesn't care about the voice of the community. Their objective, and as a matter of fact, my information this morning, and I'm going to make a post. I don't think that post is there yet, but my information this morning is that from an internal PPP communication, the government wants to these people removed so that they can have a groundbreaking in time to launch their election campaign. They want the PPP's objective here is to rush the removal of these people from their properties so that they can do a groundbreaking or whatever it is there um, uh, in Peters Hall. They want to do some ceremony there so that they can use that in their election campaign. What's your response to that?
We'll have our own ceremony first.
Got you.
All right, then. It's a nice
Okay,
being with
thank you
you.
for joining us. You can come back as time permits and you can send your colleagues. And I just want to remind the audience that Roycedale Ford, who is traveling, Attorney at Law, Member of Parliament Roycedale Ford, who is traveling, may not be able to join us, at least not yet. He also has a court hearing that he's engaged in virtually. So he has Parliament and he has court and he's traveling. So we might have to excuse Royce Ford. Let me jump back into Bar Jagdeo's press conference and hear the lies he's talking so we can read through them.
That's what that's what it did to him, unhinged him. In one letter, so many lies. And this is the opinion. Jagdeo needs to talk about fiction here.
Wait, he's still talking about Gary Bass?
Someday I will go in great depth into what we took place from the financial institutions in the country, what took place for privatization and how we dealt with it. The structural adjustment programs that they had committed to and what they gave up. This is not the occasion for it, but I think that needs to be done sometime in the future. Now, The blunt here, the blunt Congress and Kangalang said, that's Sky Show News, said so the weekend's confab, which was held at the expense of taxpayers. So this is very dangerous. They sneak this here in, that this was held at the expense of
It
taxpayers.
was held at the expense of
Mayor
taxpayers. Could
Fernali, who
Jagdeo
is our
tell us how much
finance
money he has
secretary,
paid for the
presented a
use of the
report
convention
to
center?
Congress as to how much money we raised, because that's part of our presentation to our Congress. How much money we raised and through what means we raised the resources. I spoke of this just after the Congress, the press conference. We raised money through several activities, through volunteer work, through the barbecues, through all sorts of things, by large number of groups. And so our Congress was entirely funded by party funds, not state money.
How
We're
much
not
money you paid for the convention center, Barrett? We want to know that. Give
all
us
of
the
these.
receipt. Give us the
We're
invoice and the receipt
different
and the
party,
canceled check.
we can account for that. We have to, we've seen Joey Jagan going a little crazy too. The PPP Congress is a mimicry of the Chinese Communist Party. Joey Jagan as usual, useless as usual. The ultimate rubber stamping, another Kaicho news. I'm telling you, they were restless, hoping that. So here they said, again, they're stuck with this bourgeois class and all of that sort of stuff. The old sort of socialist rhetoric. And I think this is coming mainly from some people who are stuck in that era, the old communists who are writing for the Starbuck News. I see GHK Lal weighed in. The PPP Congress, the good, the better, the best, is just the usual. I need also the war that never ended. Jagdeo is wrong here. The Cold War never ended, so that means we need to keep the communists, the Marxism, Leninism in our constitution, and that we need to keep socialism in our constitution because the Cold War never ended, which is nonsense again, because the Cold War did end in the form that it was pursued from the 50s all the way into maybe the collapse of communism. It was based on ideology. Now there is a new adjusting for world leadership and for the demarcation of the world. The conflicts between China and the United States now, not of an ideological nature. It's not of an ideological. China is probably one of the practicing more free market economics than anywhere in the world, although it has a communist government. It is about jostling for world leadership. So if you can't understand that, the whole extent of this analysis is wrong. But if we did not remove Marxism, Leninism, if we didn't remove socialism from our constitution, these very people will come and say, you see, it's still a communist party, so you can't win them. Royce Ford weighed in, and his thing about the Congress was President Ali dancing. And he said, oh, they didn't discuss the key things about infrastructure and environment and all of that. Of course, he thinks this is the PNC's Congress. And by the way, Royce Ford should tell us how an individual, he still has not answered this question, how an individual will go purporting to act on his behalf to Clifton Bacchus, the owner of Sleep Inn Hotel and say to him that if you give us 3 million US dollars, we'll give you your casino license. So this is not new information. I mentioned it in opposition. You can go back and see that if you're interested in it. And you would hear the names of the people I mentioned in the past. How is it he was chairman of the Gaming Commission at that time? He was chairman of the Gaming Commission.
Baron Jagdeo. Oh my
Only
goodness.
that gaming
Baron
commission.
Jagdeo was accusing people of corruption. Baron
Casino
Jagdeo should tell us how it is
trying
that
to
he tried to
take
negotiate a $500,000 bribe from somebody
Sleep.
posing as a Chinese businessman,
Of course,
and that is on tape.
He had met all the requirements. Met all the requirements. And so he still needs to answer about his tenure at the Gaming Commission. And I suspect that that is what Norton was alluding to when he said he doesn't have baggage that the others are bringing to this contest for the leadership of the PNC.
Now he's purporting to know what's in Norton's mind.
He recognizes it as harmless entertainment, light-hearted gesture, and all of that. But still tries to go after the president in an ad hominem way. Every day this happens. They go after President Ali in that manner. The Murar Waves allows the GKHK Lal, and Dennis Chabral is a member of the press executive of the Press Association, and they talk about quality of journalism. And then every day it's an ad hominem attack against people, including
But
myself.
Baron Jagdeo, right now you are pouring out ad hominem attack, ad hominem attacks on Roysdale Ford. I mean, this guy. So hold on. Is this East Indian supremacy?
Media will do that, but
is this East Indian supremacy that you could cuss black people
to say about the
and
Congress?
we can't
So
respond?
it all came down to
Now he's
President
attacking the
Ali
press
now.
and talking about, and they said the country has free press.
This is
This
tradition
corrupt
of
killer who murdered
he was singing
from their
the last
squads that allegedly murdered over 1,400 young black men.
to sing. I'm not singing for any money because
Is
I don't
sitting
want him
there
to lose votes.
complaining
He
about
will
who's
be
attacking his party.
making it clear. But if you know President Ali, he's not fake. This is how he has been. his
Yes,
whole
President
life.
Ali's not fake. He only
He's
has
a
fake
serious
degrees.
person. As
You
a
have to
smart
remember that.
person, he worked
The
hard,
only thing
and
fake
he
about
has
Ali
fun.
is his fake
And this,
degrees.
since I know him,
Jagdeo just acknowledged
he's
that.
not a fake person like Roysdale Ford with his fake smile and this pretend voice.
Roysdale Ford has a fake smile now.
Gravity to the situation. All pretend. To sound the intellectual. He's not fake. He'll do this and then he'll go back to dealing. He'll dance and have fun with his comrades and then go on back to some serious business.
The man looked like a fish, Barrett. He looked fishy. Let me acknowledge that. He looked fishy. He should not have done it. He diminished the presidency. That is inferdicted the presidency of Guyana.
Against President Ali. So that is what he did.
I'm waiting for him to get to Rickford Burke. Let's hear.
There's been some talk, and maybe this is among serious people too, about it. And this one I'll take seriously, about the retention of democratic centralism. So they keep asking me, now that you remove socialism, you've removed, or as a party, the Congress. I don't mean me, Jagdeo. I meant the party unanimously. Everyone, when the vote was put to the Congress.
Hold on. This guy, if you notice, he is not responding intelligently to everything. He sounds like a Mickey Mouse, unhinged, just sitting there cursing on people. I mean, I'm thinking that we would have some substantial matters to respond to here. Policy matters. Jagdeo sit down there like Tanti Moral. He must have got on a hot red dress. I'm sorry, I should not have said that. I take that back. I take that back. I apologize. He only needs a red parasol. Them umbrella with them ladies is in Europe and back in the days in the Caribbean when they're going out, they got this little I'm already getting messages about the red thing, but I took that back. I mean, that's how Barry Jagdeo sung. He songs like a border market. I don't even want to insult border market people. There's nothing wrong with people in border market. He sung like a gutter rat. That's the word. He sounds like a gutter rat. By the way, why isn't Barrett in Parliament? Parliament is going on right now. He's a member of Parliament. He sit down at Freedom House cussing people about fake smile and pretensive face. He sounds like a... I mean, who talks about a man's face? What vice president of a country sits down and talks about a man's smile? He sounds envious, right? Like he envy. Rosedale, you need to start smiling some more. Rosedale, you need to start smiling some more. But the guy sounds angry, and all he's spewing there is diatribe and propaganda, and he's calling people unhinged. He sounds unhinged. The man sounds like he got mad. I mean, not that he got mad. But I want wait for you to talk about my tight parts.
Party that is dynamic, that is.
Oh, he's still talking about the party. Now, I hope in this campaign coming up, the opposition will frame the PPP correctly. One, it's a racist party. Two, it's an autocratic ethnocracy, not democratic centralism. What the hell is that? It is an ethnocracy. It believes that it should govern the country only for the benefit of the East Indians that support it, not even the East Indians that don't support it. It is an autocracy. It governs like Russia. It believes people should not dissent. It believes, the PPP believe, that the press must always be positive to them and only give them coverage. You want to prove me wrong? No, you can't. Because right now, as Parliament is going on, the government media is only carrying these presentations from the government MPs. They don't believe in freedom of the press. And they believe in one-party state. They want to establish a one-party state where the PPP dominates everything. So what they're talking about? The People's Progressive Party does not believe in democracy. They talk democracy for the consumption of the rest of the world, international community, and some of them in the national community are so gullible. Some of these ambassadors in Guyana are so gullible. Well, I'm not sure they're gullible, but they come from a culture where they're accustomed seeing people diminish Black people. And they come to Guyana and they accept it. And so when they don't report discrimination. They don't report discrimination because in their eyes, the diminishment, the marginalization, and the victimization of Black people is normal. And so we have to start pushing the Western countries, which are supposed to be countries that uphold democratic values. We have to start pushing those countries to send people who are culturally aware to Guyana and the rest of the world where Black people reside, Africa, the Caribbean, etc., Guyana, send culturally aware people. So they understand the culture. They understand propaganda and demagoguery. Let me hear what Bart is talking about.
To building capacity at the EPA and in government itself, independent capacity to do greater monitoring. So I agree with that. There's no conflict whatsoever, and we are working on it. But we do have some capacity to deal with this issue. The other matter is I saw another report in the Starbuck News where Christopher Ram said that we should acquire share. I don't know where we're gonna get the money to acquire Hess share now, but we have this suggestion now to acquire Hess share. The government should take it, unless he thinks we should take it for free. And secondly, he said that they're supposed to seek our approval before before any transfer of the shares there. Well, I I want to repeat again, when this issue came up, when it was first brought.
How y'all like how Bart think he's an expert at everything? This is almost unimaginable to comprehend. He's not sitting at a press conference with the experts in these matters. He called up the expert. Hey, now, Patterson says something about electricity. Oh, Patterson talking stupidness. You go and say that we we renting a ship. They're going to supply 38 megawatts, 36 megawatts of electricity at $200 million in 2 years. And that's economical. Because other than that, we got to spend 400 million. Back come back. But this is talking stupidness. Because when we calculate it, we would only spend $200 million paying this ship. In other parts of the world, they spend $400 million. Well, of course, those journalists sitting there don't know anything that he's talking about. I am not an engineer, nor am I an economist, but I got common sense. And my common sense tells me that Barrett is not an expert at everything. My common sense tells me Barrett is sitting there bluffing, huffing and puffing, bloviating, spewing racist propaganda. He does not know squat. Barrett is no intellectual. Even Barrett. How many books Barrett wrote? How many papers Barrett wrote? Barrett is not an intellectual. And he's cursing people. Oh, he wants to sound like an intellectual. To Barrett, intellectualism is sounding good, sounding expert in a subject. So he thinks that what he is doing there is intellectualizing. Seriously, Barrett thinks that he's an intellectual. This man went to what is equivalent to a community high school in Russia and calls himself a big-time economist. But I would take on the con in economists. He's a con. He's an international con artist. So he cussing, and the thing about he cursing the experts. I hear him attacking Dr. Vincent Adams. Doctor as in PhD, academically obtained through academic work. Bart Jagdeo claims to be a doctor because them buy in India, give me a piece of paper and put doctor on it.
Ali.
Let's hear who's going to go to that.
Village Voice, which is the PNC mouthpiece.
Village Voice is now the PNC mouthpiece.
They put out a story that President Ali's coziness with Christian churches worrying. because President Ali attended the Assembly of God event at Evelary. And they did a long story on this. How there is separation between church and state. There's that principle in our country. Religious institutions should not be entangled in partisan politics. It will undermine their autonomy and compromise their spiritual vision. That the Christian churches must resist being tools for partisan agenda. And so one has to wonder why this article. And it goes right back to this feeling in the PNC that they had a monopoly for life over Afro-Guyanese, and regardless of how they treat them, regardless of if they keep
Hold on. So Bar Jagdeo is now saying that Christians are only Afro-Guyanese. Second, the article is expressing concern because the article, hold on. Let me move Bar Jagdeo. The article is expressing concern because they see the PPP as using Christianity, pretending to care about the members of those churches when their only concern is electioneering. The PPP is attempting to use Christian pastors to get to black people by bribing them. Bar Jagdeo and Orphan Ali are not concerned about black people. They are concerned about the votes they could get and the votes they could buy by going into the Christian community. Only at this time, excuse me, I have allergies. Only at this time, because it's election time. That's the concern. They're going to go to the churches, give the pastor a couple dollars under the table, contribute to something in the church, and then the pastor will give them access to their members. That's prostitution. Political prostitution. That's using the church and using black people. I mean, that's it. Let me hear what he got to say.
For a long period, they believed they had a monopoly over the Christian churches. But in our...
Okay, I want opposition leader Aubrey Norton to make a request to go and speak at a mandir. I want opposition members of parliament, blacks, to go throughout this country and make a request to go and give a speech, not a political speech. Not a political speech. Give a speech about unity and peace. Why is it important for us to stand together as a nation? Why it is important for us to have one people, one nation, and one destiny? I am calling on the opposition leader and his team to make those requests to Hindu temples, mandirs, and mosques across the country. And let us see if the PPP political machinery will not work over time to stop it. Because the PPP thinks they have a monopoly on East Indians. That's just the nature of Guyana politics. So what is Barry Jagdeo talking about? The Village Voice newspaper, article which he's talking about, which I read, is expressing concern because people will see the church as a tool of the PPP, and it would diminish its influence on its congregants, diminish its ability to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to the people, because people will then see it as a tool, a utensil of East Indian racists who otherwise don't treat those Christian church members equally as they treat East Indians. Case in point, Peters Hall. Let's listen.
We supported everyone. The Ramadan village, the Diwali village. What is wrong with the state doing that? It doesn't change our secular nature. That where we don't judge people on the basis of their religion or their race, but
What?
we support them. And so
Hold on, hold
President
on,
Al
hold on. This is Bar Jagdeo, who in a racist rant, I may have that video. Bar Jagdeo, who in a racist rant at Babu John called, I may have deleted that, called members of the military criminals, black people. He said the PPP will have to protect them. As a matter of fact, he said, who will, if you don't vote for the PPP, who will protect you when members of the military come and kick your doors down? So we, the East Indian Party, got to protect the East Indian people in region 5 and 6 from them black guys now in the military because they're gonna come and kick down your door because they're criminals. And he is saying now they don't judge people by race. Hold on. Let me see if I want to see if I have that video. I may have deleted it.
We need to.
That's not it.
few followers who their dear heart.
Okay, I may not have it. I think I actually do.
Up with the military as they have done when they come into your homes and start kicking you down, the doors down. And when they come after you, who is going to be there if the people, they're going to subvert the professionalism of the army and police, because there'll be no professional army or police if the entire executive is dominated by senior ex-policemen and ex-soldiers. There can be no professionalism as was done in the past. So
Bar Jagdeo just said, we don't judge people based on race or religion. And I am telling you that he's a liar because they judge those black people in the military by their race and criminalize them. Just like how he gets on his press conference, Rickford is a criminal. When Arfinali had 19 fraud charges when he became president, he was a criminal. But they like to associate black people with crime because they want to diminish us. This is the vice president, a former president of Guyana, a former commander-in-chief of the military, saying that the black people in the military are kicked down the door criminals. Listen to him again.
Up with the military as they have done when they come into your homes and start kicking you down, the doors down. And when they come after you, who is going to be there if the people, they're going to subvert the professionalism of the army and police, because there'll be no professional army or police if...
Let me hear what you got to say.
That's a way of operating. So you make a public issue about a few people and then you go and extort the others. It happens with some of the social media people all the time. It is a form of extortion that the APNU is very, very familiar with. At Peters Hall, it's very unfortunate that we had to, I saw a full story from the Starbuck News. We went through this for a long time. And it's very unfortunate that we have to now move to acquire the land through compulsory acquisition, but there is no other choice now. The offer would still be on the table, the offer of compensation, assistance to move, also land elsewhere. All of this offer would still be on the table, but we've had to now, we're coming to crunch time. We have to now start building the road to connect the Heroes Highway with the bridge. And because that bridge will be completed next year, and we now need to complete it. Most of the other people have agreed, and now they've signed up the agreement, and they have moved on or received their compensation, or in the process of doing so. There are a few who have not done, but we're not gonna. We have no choice at this stage to complete that process. I've met with that group several times. Many of them came to Freedom House to talk to me, and I understand the feeling when you live in an area for
Did Bar
very long.
Jagdeo just say that he was meeting with the
Have
people
to
at Freedom
move.
House?
So I understand what
Wow.
is
I
happening.
hope the journalists are taking notes.
Even if we
Bar
cannot
Jagdeo is
get
meeting at Freedom House
again, we still
with the
remain
people
open to
who the
people
government
because
is
we don't
moving.
like to do this. Because, but when national development is
And
at
Bar
stake,
Jagdeo is not talking
sometimes
that they're
we have
giving
to
these
make
stadiums more money than
tough,
blacks.
tough choices. Um, I seen the press association put out something, and I'm not gonna maybe deal with that today. So let me just end there. Thank you.
Wow, he didn't call my name?
Because I'm
I
sure
feel
you
so
have a
left
few
out.
questions.
He knows that I'm live monitoring him. He didn't call my name, or maybe he called my name before the program starts. This is impossible. But let us listen to what went on in Peters Hall yesterday.
My dear friends at the Kaichor News have had to apologize about 20 times so far. This is a new thing to everybody under the sun, but it's gutter journalism. Let me say that Kaichor News, pure gutter journalism. I didn't give a shout out to Rickford Burke, the criminal in New York, for a long time. Um, I think he is, yeah, over there. I believe he's a subject of some major investigations going on in the US itself for extortion, and he will be a big liability to the Democratic Party, huge liability over there. But there are serious investigations about his extortion racket that he's going on with. So I just had to give him a shout out there. I haven't done so for a while. But Kaichor News is going to continue with its gutter journalism. I saw Glenn Lal wants to.
Hey, Mark said, I'm on investigation in the United States. And I'm a major liability to the Democratic Party. Well, Bar Jagdeo murdered over 1,400 people. And he has never been held accountable. Bar Jagdeo has never been held accountable and being put under so much pressure like he's getting now from CGID. So he's projecting like Trump. Instead of them saying they're on the investigation, he said, I on the investigation. Bar Jagdeo, if I'm on the investigation, hey, let the investigations go on. We want to know, though, how many people you killed. How many people you killed, Bar Jagdeo. Don't talk about me and make up stuff about I am on the investigation for some extortion. Anyway, no need to answer Bar Jagdeo. Let's go back to hear what you got to say. I think they blocked me. So I think Freedom House blocked me. I think Freedom House blocked me from their page. I think Freedom House blocked me from their page. Oh, it's over? It's done? Okay, my understanding is this press conference is done. Okay, so someone was talking to me there. So I guess the press conference is done. He didn't take any questions? Oh, wow. He didn't take any questions. So good. So I'm not sure if um any of my any of the members of parliament are done speaking, or they probably still but let me show you all what went on at Peters Hall yesterday.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. So you're videoing me this morning.
Yep.
All right. I have a letter that I have to you here. The acquisition of the property for the building of the bridge.
And you who again?
I'm Minister. So, what is happening? You know, we've been talking about the bridge and the acquiring of the bridge. So we have already gone up with it.
Acquire the bridge, but acquire the bridge. Acquire the bridge,
Auntie,
acquire the bridge. But
we have
acquire the bridge.
we have acquired a property for the building of the bridge.
You say acquire the bridge.
I said we have acquired a property for the
You
building
never
of the
said
bridge.
so.
All right, I'm correcting myself. And the only matter we have outstanding with you is the amount to be paid for compensation.
Oh, you acquired it already?
Yes.
Behind my back?
No. We told the whole country that it's publishing the official gazette and everything.
Why?
Because we've been meeting with you.
Is that illegal or is that
No.
legal?
That is the
You
reason.
mean meeting with me? In what way? What capacity? In what
Anyhow,
capacity?
I have a letter that I need to give you, which is the notice of what is happening. I'd like to deliver this to you.
This police are going out with y'all.
No, man, it's not police.
This is police with terrorism. Every time y'all come, it's police with terrorism y'all doing it with people. Now if I did got a project, nobody's stopping development. But the things how y'all going on with is not professional. And y'all inconsistent with y'all doing. Very unprofessional, this government, I tell you.
The only matter.
They come in and threaten you and all them kind
Who
of
threatened
things.
you, man? Who threatened you? Who came and threatened you?
But how you could come to me this morning, you passed me 2 times, we had a protest out there, that road there.
A protest?
We had a protest in Black Yard. You were in your vehicle, you went up
I
there
don't
on
know
that
anything-
cedar.
I don't know anything
You
about-
wind up your vehicle,
No,
man,
no.
listen, you listen to me.
No. I don't know anything
But
about any
I will call
protest.
I will call all the residents. We have a protest right on the concern. We had a cocoa breakdown and all them things. You lost
A
everything.
protest?
No. Government officials never come in. Last fridge, washing machine, nobody, no compensation, nothing. I wrote letter to you
I don't have a letter.
personally.
From you. I don't have a letter.
I
from
took
you,
3
man.
letters.
I
One
don't
to the
have-
president,
I
one
don't
to
have
you.
any letter from you
One
concerned,
to
and
the
I don't
president.
know what any
I
protest.
call the man right now down the road we carry.
Anyway,
and I got
could you collect
I
this,
got
please?
all of the signature who signed to collect them letter to give y'all when they throw it in the dustbin.
Could you please collect this letter? Thank you. Could you sign here as receiving it, please?
I collect this letter unknowing to my lawyer, but I
No, but
wouldn't be signing.
you could take it to your lawyer.
I wouldn't be signing.
You won't be signing.
I wouldn't be signing.
Okay.
Because number one, a project like this here, nobody's stopping development. At least we should have had about 2 years notice. Listen, we born and grow here. I born and grow here. Look at me, I'm a senior citizen. And this is liaison. This project started in
My understanding is
2022.
that you have agreed
With who?
to give up
With who?
with the Ministry of Housing.
With Ministry of Housing.
And the only difficulty that they have right now is what is the cost that
Who
you're
agree?
asking.
Nobody come and have no negotiation with nobody here. It's for the abolition. Within 3 months, we got to move out. Within 3 months, we got to move.
I'm sorry about that, but I don't know about what you're talking about. I don't subscribe to that, and I don't know
The
anything
president
about
went up there a morning,
All right.
and we went up there to see the president. You know what he did? Watch how the police had me like a prisoner of war because the resident went up there to see the president because of what's going on here. You can't sleep night nor day. Look at this house over here. What is house over here? these bodies give how much millions of dollars?
57.
Millions of dollars what they give over here.
Yeah, you don't read them. They read them is racist. That's what them is. Cause it's Indian people. They give them partisan evaluation for these 2 houses. I want to give these people a next to nothing government evaluation. These jagabats, look them. Look them. If you feel this is Mocha, we got news for you. They're not Mocha, you know. This transported land. I say Mocha land is what? Squatters land. They might pass people.
Are they very unprofessional?
They
Because
might
you
pass
call me
people.
after 6 o'clock.
I know that disrespecting people. You pay people for them land and people can go. Just when you give to the Indians, you gotta give to people here. I know fucking body are moving for me. None. Oh yeah, I feel. This is where? This is where? Yeah, corrupt. Look them now. All the money they coming here, they're disturbing people peace. Look them. A bundle of demons. Look them. Yeah, come. It's transported land. You gotta give the people them their money. You gotta give the Indian people they pay them partisan evaluation. And now you're running, coming here stressing out people. Oh yeah. I a bundle of demon.
Like a prisoner war.
They got the strength here. Watch the strength. Stink. As rain water fall, the whole place smelling stink. Yeah, I got a country. Go on the ground, Miss Vashti. So they knock you down now. These jagabats, only time with y'all. It's only time. The bundle of demon are yours. Go sign and collect nothing. You go back to your lawyer. Watch them, watch them. They're only that stressing out. Eh? People in here say, why you land and them I want to pay you. Look them. Watch them. Watch them. Bundle demons. I have to know why you're running in people's place. It's transported land. Are you paying the people them for the land? Are you want them $10 million for what? $10 million up in your cock hole. Look them. Bundle demon. No, don't go.
Oh my God, why y'all did that to Edgel? No. I mean, hey, Auntie Vashti, it is, you know. I like Auntie Vashti. That's me, Auntie. Auntie Vashti reminds me of my great aunt Ada from Bartica. I gotta open up the jacket for this. I don't think that Juan Edgel reckoned that his morning was going to go like that. Now, Juan Edgel is the Minister of Public Works. I worked in government in Guyana at the highest level, right? I worked in 3 ministries. Well, 2. I did work study, and then I worked in Ministry of Regional Development, and then I worked in the Public Service Ministry, which came under Office of President, and then I worked in Office of President. A long time ago, granted. You know what? I don't think one of my lights came off here, sorry. I don't think it is the responsibility of Juan Edgel to go, even, let's first deal with the subject minister. Juan Edgel is the Minister of Public Works. This matter, as far as I am concerned, falls within the purview of the Ministry of Housing. But the Minister of Housing is an East Indian and Amerindian man. Lands have to do with agriculture. So lands fall under the Minister of Agriculture. The minister is an East Indian man who's the secretary for the PNC, Mustafa. Zulfikar Mustafa. So follow me. I driving and parking so that you get the point I'm making here. Oh boy, I gotta go. But the PPP government knew that they're dealing with black people. And they must have known that these black people in Peters Hall are fierce. They're not scared of them. They're not intimidated by them, right? So they're like, let's find a slave catcher. Let's find a slave catcher. Let's find a slave catcher. So they sent one Edgel. Not within his portfolio. Building the bridge, yes, public works. Finding housing and land, not within his portfolio. But he is the most qualified slave catcher. And he's a bully. He take over from Brockdown Ben. Because he went to the seawall and tell the people, Brockdown, you understand. And so Auntie Vashti give him the thing with the doctor order. Now, I want to know, Peters Hall, why y'all didn't run him out. He should have been able to walk out. He should have had to run out. Run out. Run them out. Whenever they come to your communities with these types of bullyism, run them out. Don't follow my advice. Follow Bar Jagdeo's advice. Jagdeo said, run them out. Run them out. But let me go back to Jagdeo. You know this Jagdeo ran away from the press conference, right? He didn't want to take questions. He ran away from the press conference because he knew everything he said was a lie. He ran away from the press conference. And he knows that we were monitoring him live. He follows my page, right? He follows my page. So he's like, you know what? Let me say something about Rickford Burke. Well, the thing about Bar Jagdeo, though, right, is that everything Bar Jagdeo says about me, he has to make up. Making up an investigation, make up a charge, put police to this. Everything I say about Bar Jagdeo is a fact. He was caught on tape negotiating a bribe for $500,000 kickback. The house he lived in, the thief the people land and build it on. Government money built it. Government money built it. Built the infrastructure as well. From thieving money. Bar Jagdeo took bribes every day of his life. Everybody knows that. His name is Bharat Crookish Kickback Take a Bribe Jagdeo. And now Jagdeo is saying that with all that's going on, because the FBI is investigating, them sending people to my house, them sending people to kill me, his people getting hold up at the airport, he wants to turn it around. But we have something else coming for Jagdeo. I would not announce it. But I think he knows. I think he heard. I think he heard. So now he is projected. Barrett, you know, Barrett Jagdeo has been showing, oh, why don't you come to Guyana? Come. I don't live in Guyana, Barrett. I live in America. And if you want to meet me, why don't you come to America? Why don't you come? Why are you staying away? Come, Barrett, come to America. I would love to meet you. Let me know where you're going to meet. I'll meet with you. I'll come and meet with you. Come, Barrett, come to America. I'd love to have you. All right, so our members of parliament are in parliament. I don't think any one of them, any other ones are available to speak. So at this point in time, what I'll do, I'll end the show right now and we'll pick up back at 10 o'clock tonight for more conversations with Rickford Burke, when we will focus on the Guyana Teachers Union strike. And I'll be speaking to Coretta MacDonald, Member of Parliament and General Secretary of the Guyana, you hurry? of the Guyana Teachers Union. So tonight, tune in live. Guyana Teachers Union discussing the strike. Every teacher in Guyana needs to go to strike. Every public servant needs to pressure their union to join the strike so that we can have solidarity, so that the public servants, government employees, teachers, all the other government employees can get a livable wage. Teachers deserve to be paid a livable wage. Teachers, head to the picket line, strike. We support you. Have a good day, everybody. See you tonight at 10 o'clock for more conversation with Rickford Burke. Have a good afternoon.